Alright, everybody say cheese. Just got it. At least, I think I did. What's up, everyone? Matt back with another YouTube video for you guys. So, if you haven't been here before, this is my YouTube channel where we do a lot of photography and videography tips and tricks, and we also do just videos that are straight up interesting. So for today's video, as you can see, we're looking at film cameras. So let's get into it. First, I'm just going to break down why we're talking about film cameras today and why we're just talking about film in general. So first, this is my final semester here at college and I needed one extra class. So I said, what's better than photography? And guess what? It turned out it was film photography, which is really an interesting twist and something that I didn't expect. Also, another twist on that whole thing is it's only in black and white film. So this is a box of Ilford HP5 film and it is ISO 400 rated and it's only black and white. So pretty interesting, since even on these mirrorless cameras, I have never ever tried a black and white photo. But anyways, before I break off into a crazy tangent, this is my final semester, so I was just gonna take a photography class, and now I'm in film. So the camera that we're using for this film class is a Nikon N8008s, and it's a single lens reflex. So for all you who know what digital SLRs are, this is a film SLR. Pretty cool. And on it we've got a fully manual 105mm 2.5, really long reaching, but I figured it'd be an interesting challenge just to only use one lens, and especially a prime that is so long. And so far it's been pretty cool having to zoom with my feet instead of being able to just quickly hit a zoom ring on something like my 28-75 Tamron is definitely a change up, and also the reach of 105 is really cool. Something else that's really fascinating about the film process is the way in which you take the film out of the camera and actually make it into something that you can print a picture from. And it does take quite some time, and it's a lot more tedious than honestly I thought it was going to be. And also, turns out you lose some photos in the process if you don't do it properly. So you have to wrap the film around a band or like a wheel, and then once you've got it around the wheel, you have to immerse it into a bunch of different solutions, and then finally you can actually expose it to light. So the whole time that you're doing all of this, you're doing it in complete darkness. Otherwise, you'll fog your film. It's pretty fascinating how it happens, although it's a little frustrating when you're doing it yourself. This class that I'm taking is an intro to photography course, although I do have some experience, so some of the basic things like aperture and shutter speed are all relatively familiar to me. But for other people in the class, obviously, it's not. But one of the things that's really cool is a lot of these older cameras, even though they're still relatively new in some terms, but you would think that they're old, they have light meters. So just like your camera probably has that -2 to 2 range and you want 0 as your exposure, these have that too, and they're no different. Something to keep in mind though is that when you're shooting film, you can't see the back, so you don't know what you're exposing for. So you have to keep that in mind, and one of the things that I do is I'll take maybe 2 or 3 photos, especially if it's like a bright sunset, and I'll underexpose it a little so that I can have the sunset and see what I think that'll be, and also I'll overexpose it so that if the camera is exposing for the sunset at 0, then I at least expose for the subject at over 0. For being such an old camera, this Nikon is also pretty ahead of its time. I think it came out in the mid-80s or early 90s, and for what this camera does compared to some other ones that are around the same age, it is pretty cool. This camera shoots at 3 frames per second, which isn't crazy in the grand scheme of things, but it's about half the speed of the Sony a7 II. We're going to put this camera down for a second, and I'm going to talk to you about these negatives that I've got. As you just saw, that we have these negatives, and each one of them is about 5 frames. Some of them are a little less because no photos printed on them. And you can see these ones really didn't come out. They're super dark, and I think they're also just very close to my face in general, because this is 105 and you can't really take a selfie with a 105mm lens. But these over here, if you can see, came out very nicely. Obviously they're going to be super small from over there, but they came out very nicely. And all these big white splotches, I'm not sure that you'll be able to see them, but these big white splotches like there and there mean that the film touched itself while it was developing. So these pictures are essentially a waste. Kinda sucks. We'll slide it back in. Alright, so what's my overall take on film cameras and film photography in general? Well, so far it's only been about 2 weeks into this semester, I'd say, or maybe 3. And honestly, it's kind of cool. It's definitely something that's different, and it might not be for everybody, and I'm not sure I will go back to it after this course. But what is cool about film photography is that you have to slow down and think a little bit more, because in this one roll, you've only got 36 frames. So that means that as soon as you hit 36, you've got to pop another roll in. And if you only have one roll, you only got 36 chances to get a good photo. So I think it forces you to slow down and think about composition more, think about what you're doing, think about your exposure, and you really have to shoot right. So in the case of film such as black and white, you have to think about some of your exposure, you have to think about your shutter speed, you have to think about all of these things in order to get a good photo, and you still can't see it on the back. So it delays that whole instant gratification thing that a lot of you guys out there probably say that a lot of us younger people have. So what film gives you is something that you have to wait for. It's kind of a delayed reward. So sometimes, like this one for example, I'll show you. These pictures right here, I'm not even sure you'll be able to see, completely ruined. So I have an idea of what those pictures are, but I'll never get to see them again. Mainly because they didn't come out, and this is where the film touched itself inside the roll, and that's it. Film is a way to help you remember things, I think. I think film allows you to slow down, and instead of shooting 10,000 photos in a day, you maybe shoot 36 to possibly 50 or 60, and that's it. But the rest of the day, you're there, you're paying attention to what's going on, and you're just enjoying it more. It helps you slow down and just absorb your surroundings. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to drop a like, because it really helps the channel out, and also it shows me that you're enjoying the content. Hopefully, once I get some pictures printed out of some of this film right here, we're gonna show you some of them, and maybe it'll be a pretty cool experiment to see if you'd be interested in any of my prints. So, that's really all I've got for this video. Like I said, if you did enjoy it, be sure to drop a like. It helps out the channel a ton. And if you didn't enjoy it, hit that dislike button and drop a comment below as to why you didn't like it. If you've got any questions on film, I can probably try and answer them, but if you have a comment anyways, I'll definitely answer it. I always do, and that's something that I want to try and keep up with. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, because I'm sure that I'll do another film video, maybe even more in depth, and take you guys along for the ride, then be sure to hit that subscribe button because it really helps the channel out. And I think that we're at like 72 subscribers now, which is pretty damn cool if you ask me. So, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. You guys are still here? What are you doing? Get out of here.